I'm Betsy Weber. I'm the Chief Evangelist at TechSmith, and with me we have Matt Pierce.
Howdy.
And joining us from Washington, Seattle, we have Rick Klaus, who is one of my favorite tech evangelists, and he's at Microsoft.
Hey, thanks. Thanks
So,
for letting me join in. It's not raining here, believe it or not. It's only overcast.
now where are you from originally, Rick?
In case you haven't figured it out just yet from the accent, it's up north of the 49th in Canada.
Yes, and that's where we met at a tech event in Toronto, I think, originally.
It's ages ago back in Toronto, perhaps. You know what? I don't even remember. It's been such a long time.
Yeah.
I've been a big fan of Camtasia and TechSmith and the stuff that they make for quite some time now.
Yeah, you've been a long-time user, so we thought you could share with us some of your top tips for our viewers.
Now,
Okay,
I
well.
was interested by your title because it's using every pixel, setting up your capture system for ultimate storytelling.
Every
Yeah.
pixel.
Every pixel.
Every pixel, yeah. I guess there was a typo in the tweet when I suggested as an option. Yeah, because part of what I do as a technical evangelist is I have to record screen captures. They're used for online training as other people have used them before. I actually record my demos for keynote demos as backup in case things don't work. I can just play the video. And as a storyteller, as an evangelist, you have to be able to use everything you possibly can to be able to support your overall message of what you're trying to do in the story. And so some very quick and simple things that I've come across that I thought I'd share is just with basic setup of the machine. I mean, I've seen some great stuff about voice, about microphone use, about headphones, that sort of stuff as you're recording the keyboards. But people tend to overlook the simple things like how to set up their desktop. So I'm going to try to do a desktop share here to see if I can just give you the first tip. We'll see if this is going to work for me or not. So let me say share screens. I want to share that one there and start it. So you have to give me kind of a little bit of an indicator if you got something you can see right now at all coming up on the feed.
Almost.
It's trying really hard.
It's almost the
It's
bits are
working.
just clogging themselves up.
It's
between here
saying
and there.
it's like saying I've been
Well-
on for almost 12 hours.
Right.
Yes.
But while we're waiting for this to come up, I want to go back to your point. What you said is you make screencasts for your
Yep.
keynote demos. I've seen a lot of presentations get completely derailed and fail because they don't have internet connection or
Right.
or some technical difficulty. Something crashes. What you do is very smart to sort of safety-proof your presentation.
I always like to have a backup plan. It's the basic thing. And so having a backup video is the last resort. You try to take a lot of contingencies as you can to be able to make sure you don't have to use it. But
Right.
Obviously, Camtasia is the best way to be able to record it and keep it there. Can you guys see the screen at all? Anything?
Not
No?
Talking about
Yeah.
having a backup plan.
You got it.
This worked while we were practicing.
Yeah, no, so,
So-
I'll try stopping that out. I'll try one last time. If not, I'll just talk about them instead because, that's the backup plan. I should have recorded this and just played the video is what it
True,
was.
true tech demo,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Something always goes wrong when you're live.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I actually saw a presenter, and she was actually just on at 7 o'clock. She did that. She had the video, but it was using something complex, and so she didn't want to have to be in the meat of trying to make it do what she wanted it to do.
Right.
And so she just had practiced enough that she knew her presentation, and she could give the video, like the video was playing, and she talked to it.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that definitely works. I'm trying one last time, and this doesn't work. I'm going to have to abort, I guess. But it's actually funny for some of the bigger keynote demos, if you're doing technical demos, it's one thing to deliver a keynote and to actually talk and present and walk around on stage and stuff like that. But
Right.
you actually have to be able to talk, use the keyboard and mouse, and do a demo and make sure you don't mess anything at the same time. It's actually more complex than walking and chewing bubble gum at the same time.
Right.
What they'll sometimes do is they'll have a demo set up in the back behind the screens that another person is mirroring the exact same demo that you're doing. And you don't know, but they might flip to the other person. And so you have to stay in sync with what they're doing, and they have to stay in sync with you to be able to pull it off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think my screen sharing is just not going to work, so we'll just have to pass on that one there, and I'll have to talk about it instead. But a couple of big things. Obviously, you guys, I believe, mentioned this in some of your lead-in videos, are things like making sure you have the proper resolution. You wouldn't be surprised with the new digital projectors whether or not they're using 16:9 or 16:10 definition for their resolution. If you're at the wrong one, you got to obviously fix that and get it working. Same thing applies to screencasts. You want to make sure you're recording at the proper HD resolution. So I record all mine at 1280 by 720 or 1366 by 768 or something along those lines, because usually my videos end up on channel 9 or they end up on YouTube. So I want to have them in high def to be able to see it. Next one is actually clean up the desktop. You guys mentioned this in your videos already. I actually go the extra step and I try to use the desktop as like a branding or part of the story based on whether or not it's supposed to be an executive that you're trying to demo, or if you're a server technician you're trying to demo, you want to have a desktop that's representative of what that looks like to support the story as well. Obviously, hiding all the icons or only having the shortcuts you need to have quick access to is a great way to do that. Very, very simple stuff. But then the next step to go even further is in the bottom right-hand corner, there's usually a clock and a date. Make it timeless. Get rid of that. Hide it so that you can always reuse that so people don't look and say, hey, you recorded that like 2 years ago, man. How come you're showing that to me now? So very simple. Right mouse click on there, choose properties for system icons on the Windows platform, and then go ahead and hide your date and time. I also do that as a nice way because, as Betsy knows, when I was down in Australia, she was down in Australia a while ago too for Tech Ed. It's really annoying to be in the audience and have someone doing a demo with the PST time zone.
Right.
If you're in Australia or elsewhere. If I'm visiting Michigan or Toronto or out in the East Coast or something like that, if you get the wrong time zone, it's a matter of being nice and respectful of people. Have the proper time zone when you're in there. One way to avoid that is to simply go in and to hide the clock and hide the date. Part of my server demos that I do, not terribly interesting, is command line stuff. And generally speaking, people forget to change the command line, command prompt font to make it larger. I mean, if you're going to be doing command line stuff, you're going to be showing off code, you have to make sure that you actually use contrasting colors and make it take up the whole freaking screen, please, because you want to be able to read it. Even if you're watching it on YouTube or on Channel 9, you don't want to have to be sitting there squinting at the screen to be able to see what they're typing. So get a larger font. I use like an 18 or a 20-point font or something like that. And that generally works out quite well when I do the screen captures. I know obviously when you're doing recording with Camtasia, you can do post-production editing, zoom in on different areas and do highlights and stuff like that. I do that for the recordings and for the screencasts. But even just for demos, make sure you got the proper resolution that you're up there for the command prompts as well as your screen. I got one last one. This is kind of actually a little request, maybe even for you guys, because I know you guys are taking requests for new enhancements to your programs.
Always.
I tend to have to do captures of servers directly, and I don't want to have to install Camtasia on the server to be able to do it. So I have to go in and remote into that server and then record that window. And what I'll do sometimes is I'll set the window to be 1280 by 720. And I'll have it positioned exactly on a secondary monitor. And then I'll go in and I'll capture just a portion of the screen to get just the proper resolution that I can quickly flip back and forth between all my servers. But it would be awesome to have just a capture utility. Nothing else, no editing, no fancy stuff, just like a little teeny tiny light footprint capture utility, not the entire Camtasia Studio, that you could put onto a server. It doesn't exist. I put my suggestion in. Maybe if you guys vote for it, I get to stay on the island or something like that. But generally speaking, remote desktop into the servers, and all those same rules apply. Hide the date, proper resolution, get the proper apps you need to have up there, get the command prompts all set up, and get them ready to go. All of that helps you get out of the way of telling the story. People don't get distracted looking at the little error messages that are on the screen and things like that. And ultimately, that makes it into a better demo and also a better screen capture.
So, Rick, I have a question for you.
Sure, man.
In terms of cleaning up your desktop, that's one that it's like a common, easy one. But are you just, when you do that, are you just doing the right click and then going in and hiding the icons, or do you have another way that you go about doing that?
Believe it or not, I actually go with an even easier method than that one there, because I like to keep some icons on my desktop. Is I'll just go and I'll drag all my icons and I'll dump them into a folder and I'll move the folder someplace else. And then I'll bring them back if I need to. I'll also pin applications I need to the taskbar, or I'll leave the icons on the desktop. And when I say clean up the desktop, it also means the background pictures. Sometimes I'm doing a demo, I want to pretend that I'm like myself in real life, and so I got a picture of my kids and my family and snowboarding or something like that. That'll be the background of my desktop. Other times I want to be more of a generic server type person, and I'll have a server type background in the background. Same thing with Windows 8, the modern UI interface. I'll make sure that I'll have proper information and data that pop up inside those live tiles as they recycle through stuff to make it more real. It's all about supporting the story you're trying to tell with your presentations, with your demos, and ultimately with your screencasts too.
Awesome. Those are fantastic tips for anyone to go watch this again, because those are the things that will make you successful.
Right. I want to see everybody doing that in their next screencast.
You got it. That'll work. That'll work. I do have a couple of blog posts on my blog, regularitguy.com, that talks about setting up your machine for demo and setting them up for screencast as well. You can go there and I talk about how to do specifically all these things. And I use it for internal training. Part of my job is also training other people on how to deliver good demos. And so I'll actually go and reference these to other people as well when I watch them do like a sample teacher sample demo session.
Well, fantastic. I think we need to wrap up our video, but Rick, if you'll stay with us for a couple more minutes, we'd love to chat with you some more.
Sure.
Thanks for giving your 5 tips. Those are honestly like basic, but yet if you're not doing those things, do them now. Those will make all the difference. Those make a huge difference in quality.
Right.
Add those into a good quality microphone, and you're all set.
Right.
Absolutely. So thanks again, Rick, and we'll continue on with 48 and 24. We're going. We're almost there, halfway. We'll be back in just a minute.